everyone to a webinar. I think today is Thursday, April 16th. And today we have the privilege of having Katie Kirby, a doctoral student in our program in Educational Technology Leadership at NJCU, as well as an assistant principal at Union City High School. Katie has a lot of experience. She does a lot in Union City, particularly she worked for a long time on the Board of Ed as an assistant principal for several different schools. She's also got her MA in administration and her MS in ed tech. And today she's going to be helping us with how we can keep teachers motivated while teaching from home. She'll present information and strategies that'll focus on helping teachers keep structure and routines as well. And we'll have a discussion and virtual walkthroughs. So we are recording this session and we'll have it on our website at New Jersey City University Educational Technology. We'll put the link in the chat for those of you that would like to see the video or resources that we might share. We also have a bunch of links to other webinars that we're offering in the future and some videos and webinars that we've also presented this past week. So I am going to stop talking, and I want to make sure that Katie is also given the highlight here that she can co-host. And with that being said, go right ahead, Katie.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. I do want to put a little disclaimer on this whole presentation. I am no expert by any stretch of the imagination, but in the crazy world that we live in right now, we've all been thrown into so many different roles that we are not sure how to navigate. Now, I'm in the same role. I just have to do it from a different perspective. And I think it's being able to change that mindset and working with your teachers that's really going to help. So I'm going to share my screen. Post disabled attendees sharing.
Oh, okay. Samantha, would you please give Katie access to share her screen? You have to click her and allow her to.
I'm able to now. Okay. Okay, so. Is everybody able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Again, it's just a little presentation on keeping teachers motivated while working from home. I am the assistant principal at Union City High School. With that, I also get to oversee the entire math department, which is about 27 teachers. So on top of that, they've also put me in charge of the annex building, which is across the street from Union City High School. And that houses our learning disabled. It houses our students who were out of district due to, I don't know how to put this politically correctly. They were in trouble, possibly with the law. Maybe they had issues with substance. Regardless, they're all in the building that I'm housed in. So I run that building. I also run the math department across the street, just to give you a little reference of the craziness of my world. So I always try to think, and I'm going crazy here. I've got all these teachers that I have to be in touch with, and I just had to kind of sit back and say, I need to follow my routine. What would I do if I was in school? If I was in school, I would have gotten on the intercom. I would have said hello to people. I would have said, greeted people in some way. So I think it's important for administrators, and this also goes down to teachers to their students, to just keep normal morning routines as much as possible. Encourage your teachers, or if you are a teacher, to follow your routine. Your students are used to your routine. They're used to going into your classroom and seeing your do now on the board. They're used to going in and you're doing some whole group instruction and then you break out into small group. But what does that look like in distance learning? You've got 27 minutes. So you just have to do it really fast. I'm only kidding. So what I would do is stretch it out throughout the week. Listen, I don't know how everybody else is structured right now, but what we're doing is reviewing topics that we've already taught these students. trying to rebuild and scaffold back. So these aren't new topics. So I say, take your time. Listen, you've got 27 minutes. You could do one do now in 27 minutes and have a conversation. The next day you can just join each other in a Zoom and talk to the students that way. And it's just trying to structure some type of normalcy that students will know, oh, today's Tuesday, it's our Zoom day. We have to go over what we just did on Monday. So just keeping routines, keeping things normal as possible and giving feedback. I also continue to run my PLCs, and those are professional learning communities. They're weekly meetings, and I do those on Zoom. I do that for many reasons, and it's not because I'm going over new material. It's because I need to make sure that all my teachers are on board and that I can see them and they can see us. And it's a nice way, just as it is here for Zoom, that we can all see each other. It makes something normal out of something that's so crazy right now. I tell my teachers all the time to interject some fun. If it's not fun, what are you doing? What are the kids doing? They're like, oh, great, 27 minutes of this boring person, you know, and then they're on to the next. So I just started talking to some teachers to find out some interesting things that they've been doing while online. One of my math teachers, he's actually a geometry teacher, he had the students go around their houses and take different pictures of geometric shapes. And then they had to create a presentation and explain what those shapes were, the angles, etc. And then they were able to submit that to their Google Classroom. Union City has adopted the full Google suite of products. So, you know, the teachers have Macs, but they switched the kids over to Chromebook. The only good thing is that everybody can use Google. So it's seamless for the kids in that way. Again, you know, just, you can't really go far, all the parks are closed, but if you have a backyard, if you have a stoop that you can stand on, if you could take a picture out of a window and then start writing some descriptions of those. You could watch movies of novels that you're reading and then start comparing and contrasting them. I like to use Google Forms a lot. I encourage the teachers to use Google Forms. It's a good way to take a quick little temperature of your class. It's a good way for an exit ticket. You know, what did you get? How'd you feel? Thumbs up, thumbs down, you know, type thing, but in this little form, and then you get all the data from it. And that's what the great part is you could say, wow, I really bombed on that lesson. Let me teach that again tomorrow, because nobody seemed to really understand it or grasp the concepts. Also, just trying to find things that interest them. I've been bombarded by TikTok. I have an 11-year-old and a 13-year-old, and they just go around the house like this. I don't know what they're doing. I can't do it. I can't keep up with them. I try, but at that point, it's like, okay, if everyone's doing this, let's see how we can grasp that and then get it into something that's going to be educational. Have them create math TikTok, you know, and then present them. Just thinking outside of the box, really. Just think outside the box. If, you know, teachers keep saying, I can't get in touch with the students, they're not logging in. Okay, can you call them? They have a phone, but I was like, perfect. Whatever they can get to you, have them take a picture and send it in. And that's what we want them to know. Listen, you're not hindered by this technology that you don't have the computer. Get whatever you can do in. This way we can grade you and we can keep motivating those students to stay on track. We don't know when we're going back to school. We've got to keep everybody motivated. We definitely know we're not going back until May 15th, you know? So that's the most recent date that I heard. So we've got to keep that motivation going. And again, when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about teachers and I'm talking about the students. It can go, you know, up, down, any way you want. But the idea is we have to really change our mindset, like I said before, because what we're doing is we're trying to solve problems in a world that we lived in a month and a half ago. And we can't use those same solutions to solve these problems because we're in a different world now. And so it's time to think outside of the box and think what we can do and help each other. So one of the main things that I always have to do every day when I'm at work is conduct walkthroughs. So I'll go over to the high school and I'll go through every single math class for a few minutes, and then I have to enter that data onto, we use Frontline. So I'm constantly giving these teachers feedback. So then I thought, how am I going to do that now? I need to be able to do this. So I am a co-teacher. This is going to sound insane, on every single class that each math teacher has. So they have 6 classes each. They have a Google Classroom for each of their sections, and then I'm the co-teacher on all of them. I found out very quickly how you turn alerts off, because you will be bombarded with millions and millions of emails. However, it gives me an idea, so I can go into Mr. Smith's 4th period geometry class, and I can look at the conversations that he's having with his students. I can see the classwork that is being presented. And then I can give constructive feedback to that teacher to let them know, hey, what you're doing matters. And people are looking, and I think you're doing a really great job. I never try to do anything that is negative. So even if I see something negative, I would never put it in writing. I would actually, if I saw something negative now, which hasn't happened, I would pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, people keep saying their kids aren't coming to the class. Okay, I understand. And listen, we're in a different time right now. Let's see what else we can do. How else do you think we could reach them? Do you want to send them a postcard? Do you want to do thinking outside the box and just trying to talk through and letting that teacher know you're not in trouble. We're just trying to figure it out. And so that's why doing these walkthroughs and sending every single one of those teachers some type of information, knowing that they're doing what they need to do, it gives them that little boost. I also like to be very specific. So I could say, Mr. Smith, during your 4th period geometry class, Jose Q asked a very good question, and I really like how you answered him. You broke it down for him, and he was able to understand it so much that I was able to understand what you were trying to teach. I just try to be so specific so that they know I'm not just saying you're great and moving on. I'm looking at your work. I think that's so important. I also, I love to work with the teachers within the PLC and give them that, who's got a best practice? What is somebody doing something that worked awesomely and you want somebody else to know? And so for something like that, one of my teachers teaches special needs math, Algebra 2, and she would incorporate a Kahoot with Zoom. So for those of you who don't know Kahoot, it's like your students can answer in on their cell phones, and you can see the different levels of answers coming in, and you can just take a quick visual and see who gets it, who doesn't. She was able to do that and have it on Zoom at the same time. And so the students felt like they were really connected. And I think that's an important part of all of this. So we come down to some resources. Now, if you have Macs, you have stickies on your computer. You could also go to a website called Notely. And so there are 2 aspects of this that I love. So if you see down here on the corkboard, it's a little message, good morning, how are you? So this morning when I had my PLC with my math group, I usually send something out onto the Google Classroom that I have set up, and I said, hey guys, tomorrow is going to be show and tell. I want you to bring something you care about, you love. It could be a dog, a child, a picture, a book, something that you want to show and tell. And so I started off the meeting with show and tell instead of starting off the meeting with math, what are you doing? Did you get the geometry in? And it really kind of brought everybody together because there are things that you don't know about people. So people want to show off their kids. And so some would show their kids, and others would show their dogs and cats and whatnot. And so then I went last, and that's what you see on the corkboard right there is a painting of a sunflower that I did in 2004. And so I was like, well, nobody knows that I paint. Nobody knows that I can draw. Nobody knows any of these things. So let me tell my department about that. And so then I gave this site to them. I didn't want to take any pictures of what they shared, but when they put something up, I would snapshot it, and then, or I'd have them snapshot it, and then they would tack it to this board on Notely. And so then everyone can go back and see. I also like this because, as I said before, when we work on Frontline to hand in our walkthrough feedback, and it's so archaic looking and it's just terrible and it's not pretty. So what I'll do sometimes is I'll write it on a sticky on Notely, and then I'll snapshot it. Then I'll snapshot this picture and I'll just send it to them in email. So it's just a little bit of a different, not like typical email, but you'll get something that looks a little bit more fancy. And I know it sounds so juvenile, but these little things, it's like giving somebody a sticker. In high school, I can't tell you how many stickers I would go through because the kids want a sticker. They want to know that they did well. And so these little stickies are like stickers for the teachers to motivate them and keep them going. I also said before that I really love using Google Forms. So every once in a while, and I have to be very careful on this one, because you don't want to ask them something that's going to upset somebody. So I always put the disclaimer in, this is a fun little survey. You do not have to play along. So ask simple questions like, why did you become a teacher? Did you always love math? Do you like online teaching? Like 3 simple questions. Then what I'll do is I'll get all the data back. And so my next PLC will start with, wow, you know, if they participated and they wanted their name out there, so-and-so's been teaching for so many years, you have so many great ideas and blah, blah, blah. Or, you know, I can't believe that you didn't love math and now you're such a phenomenal math teacher. That's just so cool. I love how it just starts conversations. And I think that's what we need to keep going, is the real life conversations with adults, between adults, so that, you know, you're not just sitting here, you know, trying to figure out your 6th grade child's math homework. The funny thing about is, did you always love math? A thing about me, I never shared this with the math department, but I'm not a math person. I taught language arts and social studies. And so they put me in as a math supervisor years back, and then I became an assistant principal, and they moved me around a little bit, and they brought me back, and they were like, oh wait, Katie was a math person. Okay, I'll do whatever you want me to do, but I have to remind you that my background's not math. But the thing is it doesn't have to be. You just have to be a person that can help move people forward in the right direction. You need to be human and you need to be caring, and they need to feel that. And I think once they feel that, just like in your classroom, if your students feel that you truly care about them, they're going to want to work harder, and they're going to want to prove to you that they can do what you're asking them to do. So aside from this, a lot of my teachers started saying, you know, oh, I just need to meditate. I don't know where to go with this. I don't know what to do. So I put out a couple of different, I don't support any of these. These are just some that I found. I have used Headspace meditation, so I would support that one. I do really love that. I've also used Calm. Calm is very like a soothing, meditative form of just, you know, kind of disconnecting. And it's hard because I feel like I work 20 times harder now online than I did when I was in the building. You know why? Because I could go down to a classroom, I could go back to my office, sit down for a second, regroup, and then go do something else. Whereas here, it's just on. I can't tell you how many Zooms I've been on today. You know, here I am thinking I could just roll out of bed. Oh no, I gotta like shower and do my hair because I don't want to know what anyone's saying. So those are some things. I also wanted to say, going back to TikTok, don't worry about making a fool of yourself. It really just shows your colleagues that you're human. So now these are 2 terrible TikToks that I have created with my daughters. I don't know what I'm doing, and this is the first one. I mean, that's so simple, but can I do it now? So now I chose that one because at the end it said, I'm feeling blessed. Then this one, these are my killer moves. Yeah, look, see, Sue, you can do it. So, and now I show you that, sorry, only because we ourselves have to we've got to put ourselves outside of the box. We've got to figure out how to get TikTok into our schools so that we can get these kids who learn these routines in 2 seconds to memorize everything else that they've been doing. And it's just something fun. Like for Wednesday, I sent out my message. I send a message every single day. Good morning. And I have to say, like, today is Wednesday, just so I remember what day it is. And so then I was like, oh my gosh, let me just attach this. And then I went to YouTube and I got the Hump Day commercial. Mike, hump day. And so I just threw that in, and I can't tell you how many responses I got back from that, just saying that made me smile, or that was wonderful, I really liked it. So I really just truly, the message that I'm sending is be human, be honest, really look at what your teachers are doing and give them feedback, because it's so important. They need to know that what they're doing is right. And I think because we're in such a crazy world, and I can't go down the hall to tell them, I need to be in contact with them and tell them in so many different ways how it is. On April Fools, I'm not going to take it out because I'm not that crazy at this point. My daughter has this head. It's a unicorn head. And it's so stupid and it's so wacky, but I started the Zoom with that, and I changed my name from Katie Kirby to Unicorn, and I just put it on my head, and everyone was saying, pulling their kids in to look, and I was like, April Fools, okay guys, like, so it's just, they probably think I'm crazy, but I don't care, because I have their back and I'm working with them and I'm giving them true feedback. And I think we just have to, go with the flow at this time in this crazy world. And that's what I have for you. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you so much, Katie. I appreciate your insight and the links and resources. Hopefully we can share either your PowerPoint or the resources for later on as well. I have to say to you, I change backgrounds in Zoom during every dissertation defense to make things a little more exciting and interesting and fun. I get you. Yeah, I understand what you mean. If you don't make it fun right now, people are, they need that release. And so I definitely support all of that you've talked about today. And obviously communication, really super, super important. So I'd love to open it up. There's been some chat in the group chat over here, and I'd love to open that up to actually, all of us discussing it. One thing I have to tell you, TikTok has been the only thing that keeps me sane. It makes me laugh. And I constantly share them with my kids, and they every time tell me, why did you share that with me? That wasn't funny.
No, because apparently I'm an old lady, and I should not like TikTok or understand it.
Oh.
So then I'm just like, okay, now you're going to teach me, and then I don't know what I'm doing, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. So other people perspectives, there was a bunch of things that people were saying that were really great.
Let me see the chat.
So do you visit every math teacher every day? Susan had asked that.
Every math teacher every day. I'll give them feedback every single day. Whether it's on, now I don't do it on Frontline every day, and that's like convoluted. That's the work one that I have to go to. But I will give some type of feedback, whether it is a sticky note, a little text. I talk to them every single day, because that's how I was in the school. I would go to their classrooms every single day. Just, I would start at the top floor and then work my way down. And even if it was just to pop in to say, hey, just want to check in, how you doing? Everything okay? All right. Or they'll say, come in, you have to see this. You have to see what we're doing. And then I would go in, and then of course I'd have to brag about them during the PLC. So yes, every day. It's a lot.
How many teachers are there?
27. I know.
Times 6 classes.
Times 6. Well, no. Okay. So I don't do all 6 classes. I will pick a teacher. I only go into 27 a day. So I'll pick your 4th period today. I'll pick your 7th period class tomorrow, and so on. Oof, gosh, no. 27 is enough. Yeah. But I have to say, if I don't get to all of them now, like I'll be up at 6 o'clock going through their classes. So at least throughout the day, at some point, you will get feedback from me on what I thought. Anyone else?
Can I just ask, Katie, what are the types of things you look for? Because it's not a lesson that you're looking at. Like, it's not an interactive, like video lesson necessarily. This is like something that's posted, what the thing is posted, and how students respond to each other. I'm just trying to get a sense of what the walkthrough would look like.
Sure. It's in Google Classroom that I do my walkthrough. So now if I was on a typical day, what I'll do is marking period 1, I choose 2 look fors from the walkthrough of our, district, whatever. And I'll give everybody what those walkthroughs are. So now what I've chosen as a walkthrough is that there's explicit teaching going on. And how do you see that online? It's hard. But if you can see the conversations that are going on between the students on their chats, and the comments that are being made on the work that's been handed in, because I'm the co-teacher, I can go into all of that and see. And I could say, Billy really didn't get what the lesson was. But I love how you explained it, or I love how you handed it back to him and said, try number 2. You got number 3 right. Try number 2. It's very similar. And that's how I've been adjusting and doing my virtual walkthroughs.
I wonder if anyone else here has other ideas to keep motivating, to keep ourselves motivated. What else? What are we doing?
Maybe we've got the captain over here with the firefighter. Doug? See? Yeah. It makes people smile.
Right. Well, my husband's a teacher, middle school science teacher, and he was wondering about,
so when you do the walkthrough, are you doing also like a formal observation to the teachers at this point, or no?
So when I put it in to Frontline, that becomes a formal walkthrough.
Okay, got it.
So I make sure that I do formal walkthroughs on everyone at least once a week. I do walkthroughs on every single teacher. So if you get a sticky from me, or you get like a text message, or if I communicate with you somehow, it's not formal. They know it's formal when they get the email that says Mrs. Kirby has put in a walkthrough, whatever. Otherwise I would go crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a lot. It's easy for me to just write a quick text. Like half of these people you've become so close with that you have all their numbers. Wow, Jen, just saw in your room what you did. I love it. I'm going to do a walkthrough tomorrow on class 4, period 4. Or they'll say, can you come and can you be online during this? We're going to have a Zoom. We would love to have you in on it. Things like that. And it's just anything I can do the answer is always yes, unless I have something else to do. If I have a meeting that I have to go to or whatnot. But I've been working overtime, just trying to be the biggest cheerleader for these teachers so that they can be the biggest cheerleader for their students. Yeah. There you go, Q.
Quick question. How many times did you visit them previous to this when it was in person?
When it was in person, I was required to see everybody once a week. Sometimes I would just try to do it every day that I could. I would write up at least once a week. Sometimes I would just do flybys and not write those up, but I would see people every day. Especially since I'm in the annex building across the street. I don't have those teachers right under my nose. I can't just like go down the hallway and say, hey guys, hey, what's up? What you doing? So I have to make it a point to go over there, walk the building. I just want to be visible. I don't want them to think that I'm not there, and I'm always there to help them 100%.
Katie, have you or your district developed a series of walkthrough look-fors that you would be really aligning yourself with now that you've considered the change in the context and how you're observing the teachers interacting with students? Because that's going to look a little bit different. Has the district or yourself said, hey, we're not going to hold you to all aspects of, say, Marzano or Danielson because you're not going to get a 3, because you're not physically able to get that 3 or 4. So has the district decided to say, hey, this is what we can do. This is what we're looking for. That way you can continue to encourage them? Because I've read and had conversations with teachers, particularly a teacher yesterday. He was the state teacher of the year in Illinois. His name is Matthew Perilli in 2019. And his union, they're actually organizing to sue their schools because they were not given these things. And I thought that was a very firstly, very difficult knee-jerk reaction initially for them to go to. I don't think it had to be litigious, in my opinion. But, you know, I could also see where they were coming from. A lot of the teachers, particularly the older ones, felt that they weren't sure what was to be expected of them in that new environment. Have you ever thought about something like that for the teachers?
That's a great question. And to be honest with you, I haven't. I've just taken the look for that I have and just kind of adapted it to it. But I have to tell you, Union City, if you haven't ever been there, it's very, very unique setup. So we didn't go with any of those observation tools. We created our own. And of course, because that's what we do. And so our walkthroughs wouldn't necessarily, or not necessarily tied to the 1 through 5. It's based on observed or not observed. And so I don't know how the calculations go, but there's some type of calculation on the back end, you know, my math brain. And they figure out, you know, how that works into their overall observation. So even if I saw something negative, that would never be put into a formal feedback while we're online, because it's not fair. So, you know, I've never given negative feedback since we've been online, unless I have called somebody up and said, well, why don't we think about it this way? Instead of, you know, grading is such a huge, you know, nobody knows what to do. What am I going to do? This kid was failing last marking period. He hasn't handed anything in. You don't know that his mother is sick with COVID and they have no internet. You know, it's not his fault. We need to work with these people. We need to work with everybody. And outrageous situations call for outrageous results and outrageous solutions. So if we can just figure something out for now and move on for marking period 4, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, that sounds great, Katie, because from the conversation I had with him, it sounded like they weren't as flexible as you are and what's going on in your district. So I commend you for being really flexible and at least putting, you know, that in a suggestion kind of for the teacher and not in a formal observation, because it sounds like, unfortunately, that's not the reality for everybody. And I wish he had an experience aligned with something in your district instead. So
that's sad to hear, because one thing that I was taught from many people in my district is we're not an I gotcha. I'm not an I gotcha. We're all on the same team here. So if I'm sitting here belittling you, then that's my problem, because I'm not doing anything to help you. So it doesn't make sense. So if there are any issues, if there are problems, you know, there are different friendly, kind, encouraging ways to help people get better. And that's all we want to do, because the end result is I want to make sure that that student has the best teacher in front of them to teach them what they need so that they can be successful.
That's awesome, Katie.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that really goes in line with what you're talking about, motivating teachers that are teaching at a distance. In order to motivate them, you have to show that you care about them and that you care about their students, right? And you mentioned it a bunch of times that caring really, really comes through. And that's a real key to motivation. People will do things for you if they know that you care about them as a person.
Sure. And that literally, I've given my cell phone, I've given my email, I've given my address, like any way that just don't come to my house because I'm not letting you in. But just some, you know, I do care. And I really, truly do care about every single one of my teachers, because I care about those students. And I care about what's going to happen to them and where they're going to go. I care about my 8th grade daughter who's not going to have a graduation. You know, these are things that start going through your head, and then all of a sudden you're like, how do we get here? We got to just be, you know, empathetic with each other.
One thing I've noticed with teachers, especially K-12 teachers, is that they give and they care so much about their students. Like just pour everything out to them. And I think right now they also have to care about themselves so much, because so much is going on, that giving a little bit to them really means something. Just caring, showing that you care about them, you know, as a leader, or as students to their teachers, or parents to their children's teachers, I think goes a long way in helping get through this.
Absolutely. We're all on the same team. We're all in the same boat. We just need to help each other. Yes, Captain. And if there's a fire, we're safe. We got the fireboat going too.
Right.
Any other questions?
Hey, Katie. Hi, I'm Rem. I don't think we've officially met. I'm from cohort 3. First of all, great presentation.
Thank
More
you.
importantly, have you considered from a motivational perspective, because since you have so many teachers and so many people that you need to touch on a weekly basis, have you considered more asynchronous means of reaching out to them to create that motivation, to create those connections, like either using video or email? I know that for example, for myself, I'm an adjunct in the master's program, so I spend a lot of time creating videos, as Dr. Z can probably attest to. Just sending out weekly emails, connecting with people, because I don't get a chance to see them or talk to them in person often. The other piece as well is, in some cases, video is wonderful, but maybe another approach to get that connection formed is through direct emails. I guess what else are you thinking about or have done that is more asynchronous, so that you don't have to sit there and physically see them, because it may not always be possible all the time.
And then that's where the stickies come in. I really love the stickies. They're individualized. It's right to that person. It's a cute little note. It's almost as if I walked up to their desk, wrote a little note, and then boop, stuck it on there. You're doing a great job. There you go. Other than that, like an email or a text message, it's not, I hate to say text messages, but I'm sorry, that's what I do. It is what it is. It's the life we live in. And if I can connect to, if I had to tell Q something really quickly and I didn't want to forget it, I'm calling you out, Q. I'm going to send you a quick little text message. Other than that, we do the big group, everyone together. But I do give individualized attention to those teachers. I did actually set up a Zoom with one of my teachers who was very, very frustrated about the grading policy that our district came out with. So I took the time and I said, listen, what do you want to do? I would not do the Zoom on my school computer because I was too scared about what that person might say. But, it was nice to be able to talk to them and then let him vent. Tell me, listen, I'm going to tell you straight out, I have to follow what the Board of Ed says, and this is what we have to do, but I can see that you need to tell me. And then sometimes just letting them vent and letting them, on that one-to-one really is helpful.
Yep.
It was easy for me because I had no answer for him. I just had to say, I'm listening to you. But, it's nice to hear what they have to say. So when I do go to marking period for meetings, I can say, hey, well, this is, a suggestion that was brought to my attention. Anyone else?
I think one of the other things that I find that is helpful to motivate is to allow people to have a little control, or at least to give you some feedback. Or so one of the things I keep trying to do is open channels of communication to my students so that I can get feedback from them, what's comfortable for them now, what's not comfortable. And that, I think, motivates people a little more. They feel as if they've got a little more control. Right now, we have so little control of anything in our lives. So anything that we can sort of get a little grasp on, I think, helps. So as an example, one of the issues that we're having, and we talk about 8th grade graduation, my son is graduating college without a graduation. We've got doctoral students without a hooding in graduation. So we've got a lot of really great celebrations that we're not having that are really horrifically sad, in my opinion, because I love to celebrate. But anyway, I think that asking people their opinions and what they want and how they feel really does help to motivate people to want to continue.
And I think it's also very important to be very genuine when you're doing that. You have to, if I care, I need to hear you. Okay, I'm listening to you. No, you have to show them, like, you have to truly care. You have to, or you can't fake it. That's not something you can fake. People feel that. So it's so important to be just honest and true. And my one teacher who wanted to Zoom one-on-one because he was so frustrated, I got off the Zoom and I say it like it is. Listen, I can't sugarcoat anything. It is what it is. I'll be very, I'll smile when I tell you that I can't change anything, but I'm not sugarcoating it. I got off the Zoom and he texted me quickly. He's like, thank you so much for always listening to me. He's like, I really felt like you listened. I know we can't change it, but thank you. And that right there, that's, to me, boom. just put the grade in and then, we'll deal with it after. So it's very reward. Like I miss the actual being in a classroom where I could teach with students because you get that reward right away. But even doing this and listening to the teachers and how they respond with me, and it is very rewarding. And I'm happy to be doing what I'm doing.
Well, it sounds like, Katie, you're so like energetic now that I'm just like, I would be excited to have you as an administrator, because I've never really met very truly genuine, sincere, like I honestly care about you administrators. There are so many out there that don't share the same fervor that you do. Mm-hmm. And so it's so nice to see that you really are genuinely trying to, show teachers that you care, and essentially, bring back humility for teachers by the TikTok videos and things like that, because a lot of people are so staunch and would say, I would never do that. Because they put themselves up on a pedestal or they take themselves way too seriously. And I think it's awesome that you put that in there, because that's something I'll totally take away from you. I think that's like a really good thing to have in there, Katie. That was really cool.
And, cohort 7, you guys all know me. I mean, this is me. I'm just like this. I don't know. I just,
you know what, though? You put a target on your back. From experience, I can tell you this. You put a target on your back when you put humor into what you do, wearing a hat or dancing or doing some crazy stuff. I know I like to do it too, and I often try to infuse my little craziness as much as I can, but quite honestly, you do get a lot of criticism as a result, both from your colleagues. I mean, I'm constantly criticized by my colleagues for doing some of the crazy things that I do, because they just don't see it as an advantage.
They don't get, you know what? And if it is what it is. I know what makes work fun and happy for me. And I know if I can make somebody smile, or if I can make somebody laugh for a second, and somebody wants to criticize me for it, that's fine. I still have my job. I'm still doing what I'm doing. So I have to be doing something right?
Don't let them get you down.
Never. See, and that's why you always have to smile too. Yeah. There are times when my friends can say, they're like, uh-oh, something's wrong, because you'll see my true smile, and then you see my I'm so angry smile, which is like, that I'm talking through my teeth smile, like, okay, yes. Because I don't want somebody to come into work and be like, oh gosh, what's wrong? Katie Kirby's upset, what's going on? So, but I do get upset. So don't think that I'm like psycho crazy all the time. Human. Does anybody else have any questions? All right then.
Well, I think that we really got a lot out of today. I think we're all feeling a little more energized, which is a good thing. So I hope that everyone got a little information that they can use, maybe a little uplifting spirit, maybe a little dance or a little costume thing.
Something
good. And this recording will be shared on our website. So if you wanted to come back and see any of the resources or things that we shared, that'll be available on the NGC website, which is in the chat. So be sure to get that. And thanks everybody. We have one more webinar scheduled for tomorrow, and we're off for the weekend. Go fishing, go out, get some fresh air. So thanks so much, Katie. That was great.
Thank you. Thanks, Katie.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Have a great one.
Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, Katie.
Thank you.